All right, so we got some news about the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. There's been a number of, cases against these people. And this is one of the biggest ones to come down yet. So they say in BBC here, Oath Keepers leader Stuart Rhodes sentenced to 18 years for Capitol riot. So for those of you who don't remember, this is the guy with the eye patch. This is a picture of him right here. He was pretty prominent, there's video of him and whatnot from the day. Prominent guy, head of the Oath Keepers. They say the leader of a far-right militia has been sentenced to 18 years in prison for his role in the U.S. Capitol riot. Stuart Rhodes, the founder of the Oath Keepers, was convicted on charges of seditious conspiracy and other crimes. The sentence is the longest yet given to a Capitol rioter. Prosecutors had asked for 25 years. Meanwhile, Kelly Meggs, the leader of the militia's Florida chapter, was jailed for 12 years. Rhodes remained outside the Capitol, but coordinated with Meggs and other members who stormed the building. Oh, okay, so he's one of the ones. I'm trying to remember. I know the Proud Boys people were involved. I don't remember which ones were there, which ones weren't there. I know some Proud Boys were there, some Oath Keepers were there, some were outside but coordinating. And apparently in this instance, they say he remained outside the Capitol, but he coordinated with Meggs and other members who stormed the building. So Rhodes is 57 and Meggs is 53. They were also convicted of obstruction of an official proceeding and tampering with documents or proceedings in one of the highest profile trials related to the riot on January 6, 2021. At a hearing on Thursday, Rhodes showed little remorse, claiming he was a political prisoner and insisting that the Oath Keepers were standing in opposition to people who are, quote, destroying our country. No remorse. No remorse whatsoever, even given everything that happened on that day. Even given the videos and images that came out of that day. Even given the violence that unfolded on that day. Judge Ahmed rejected those claims and expressed concern about Rhodes' violent rhetoric, including a threat to hang former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. You all know this. I'm a big free speech guy. I'm huge on free speech. The exceptions to free speech in law are very limited, as it should be. One of those exceptions is a direct threat of violence. So Homeboy was doing direct threats of violence against the Speaker of the House. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't get longer in prison. On that alone. Never mind the coordinating January 6th type stuff. Quote, I dare say, this is the judge talking, I dare say, Mr. Rhodes, and I've never said this about anyone who I've sentenced, you, sir, present an ongoing threat and peril to this country, to the republic and the very fabric of our democracy. We all now hold our collective breaths with an election approaching. Will we have another January 6th? That remains to be seen. Rhodes' sentence was the longest handed out so far for the riot, where thousands of supporters of Donald Trump who objected to the result of the 2020 presidential election stormed the U.S. legislature. Prosecutors had asked for 25 years for Rhodes and 21 for Meggs. Defense lawyers had argued for much lighter sentences of less than 3 years each. On Friday, 2 Oath Keepers who entered the Capitol during the riot were handed prison sentences. Jessica Watkins was sentenced to 8.5 years, and Kenneth Harrelson was given a 4-year term. Both were acquitted of seditious conspiracy, but convicted of obstructing an official proceeding and other charges. Look, what's interesting about these cases is that it really is the case. Each one is unique. Each one is different. Each one comes with their own set of circumstances and facts about just how much involved the individuals were, how much pre-planning went into it with certain individuals versus how many people were basically shooting from the hip and just reacting in the moment. And thankfully, it looks like you're getting different levels of charges, different amounts of time in prison for people who fall in different places on that spectrum. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. Look, if there were people there who were not violent at all, then I'd be in favor of them being free, right? Doesn't matter that, you don't like the cause of the protest or whatever, but if people were nonviolent, they didn't commit any crimes, let them go. Let them go. It's not a crime to be a hardcore MAGA person. What is a crime is the plenty of things that were done on that day. The, breaking of windows, storming in, obstructing the official proceeding, the hang Mike Pence stuff with the noose, there's a million things that went down that were crimes. And for those people, yeah, throw the book at them. As I've said, I'm tough on crimes that are actually crimes. So drug-related stuff, free them, no issue whatsoever. Go right ahead. Actual violent crime, well, shouldn't have done it, right? Shouldn't have been at this Capitol riot. Shouldn't have had very clear-cut messages behind the scenes where you lay out your intentions of effectively doing a coup. If you think the The time behind bars is too steep? Maybe don't try to do a coup. Albeit however pathetic and sad your attempt was. Rhodes, a former U.S. Army paratrooper and Yale-educated lawyer, founded the Oath Keepers in 2009. Armed members of the anti-government group showed up at a number of protests and standoffs and eventually became staunch supporters of Donald Trump. Dozens were present at the riot. What did the Oath Keepers do on January 6? Rhodes began a campaign to reject the results of the election 2 days after the November 2020 vote, while ballots were still being counted. He messaged supporters, "We aren't getting through this without a civil war. Prepare your mind, body, and spirit." Gee, I wonder what his intentions were with January 6th. I wonder what his intentions were. I wonder what he was attempting to do. It's a mystery. Rhodes and other Oath Keepers then spent thousands of dollars on weapons and equipment and stashed them in a hotel room in nearby Virginia just prior to January 6, 2021. During the riot itself, Rhodes stayed outside the building, taking phone calls and messages while other Oath Keepers, including some led by Meg, stormed the building. Prosecutors said Rhodes acted like a battlefield general during the melee. And now you know why he got such a steep sentence. Because he was one of the top commanders, one of the top officials who was giving instructions, breaking things down for people, coming up with a strategy. There you go. Is anybody going to end up getting more time than him? I don't know. But we know what their goal was. We know what they plan to do. We know how far they were able to really get. And there are consequences for it. There are consequences for stuff like that. And again, you just hope with Donald Trump running again, you just hope that if he loses again, buckle up, because who the hell knows what's going to happen this time. The only saving grace is that some people seem to believe that now everything is planned by the feds. So you have a lot of hesitant far right-wingers who don't want to get directly involved because I guess they saw what happened to the people on January 6th and they feel like, do I want to go to prison for Donald Trump? So my guess is it'll be a little tougher to get those bodies out in the streets, but you never know. You never know. But I wish I had the exact number. I used to know the exact number. I think it's thousands of people who've been arrested as a result of this thing. And, pro tip, don't try to do a coup. I know. Crazy thought. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.